Hey ladies, how's everybody doing? It is Thursday, September the 13th, 2018. I promised you all an update in my last video, and so I need to bring you all up to speed on everything that's been going on with me. So, I have some notes here, some things I want to go over with you all. And so, on August 29th, I had which was a Wednesday, I had an egg retrieval. So, as you all know, I did allude to having a cycle in May that I did not respond to medications. And then I got embryos in July. And then I had another cycle in August. So on August 29th, I had an egg retrieval. The next day, I got the report that they all fertilized. I decided this time I was going to grow the embryos out to day 5. And I know that my physician felt that was risky because, especially if you don't have a whole lot. However, my reasoning was I had done day 2 and day 3 transfers without success. So I wanted to see if my body was more receptive at the 5-day mark. So I decided to risk it. So on day 5, which was Labor Day, September 3rd, I got the call that I had 2 blastocysts. And one was a 4AB. It was fully expanded. And one was a 3AB. And it was an expanded blastocyst. So that was at 7:04 a.m. My transfer was scheduled that day for 10:30 a.m. Actually, the doctor was running behind. And so the actual transfer took place at 11:56 a.m. So I will show you our lovely, lovely embryos. 2 of them. Okay? Lovely, lovely blasts. So we went forth with our transfer. And it was so nice because the doctor, we were sitting there and the doctor says, okay, here comes the flash of life. I thought that was just a beautiful way to see it. You know how they put the catheter in and then you see that little poop when they actually place your embryos. So we saw the flash of life and then we proceeded to go home and just pray and wait. So I'm not a tester. I typically don't do any testing after I have done a transfer just because it will just drive you crazy. So this time, about 4 days past transfer, I decided I would actually test, and I saw a line. And I'm like, oh, wow, there's a second line here. So then I tested 4 days passed, 5 days passed, 6 days passed, and 7 days passed. And on the 7th day, hubby started asking me questions like, are you pregnant? Are you testing? Just random, like, so when do we do the test again? It was very random because I had initially decided that I was not going to tell him I was getting positives because I didn't want to put the cart before the horse and have him all excited, and then maybe that was the trigger or something. I don't know, because I did have a 10,000 unit trigger with HCG. However, I decided I would go ahead and tell him via text. So I sent him a text because he, outside of what he does for work, he loves music. He's a bass guitarist. So I sent him a text of like a guitar, a drum, and then the second little picture had a guitar with some baby booties, and it said, our duo is becoming a trio. And then I sent him the line progression of the pregnancy test. Well, this guy replies, Google Images question mark. So I'm like, no, this is legit. He's like, are you playing with me? No, this is serious, buddy. So because we had never gotten that far. We had been told with my eggs we had a 1% chance. And so we just, we had faith, we had hope, we were going to persevere. And actually, I had decided that I wasn't going to cycle anymore. And then something just came over me in the month of August to try again. So I said, I'm going to try one more time and see what happens. And I didn't tell anybody because Aunt wanted me to kind of just keep it between us. Let's just try to work on this and see what happens versus we had people who they would be more disappointed when we were unsuccessful than we were. It's like, calm down, buddy. Calm down. I know you love us, but we're broken up over here. So, out of respect for him, I did not tell anyone about my stems, my retrieval, nothing. So this is all hot off the press. So, um, so I sent him the text, and then on 8 days past, the line progressions are getting darker and darker, and I'm going to see if somehow the picture can go up here. So if Aunt successfully puts it up there, you will see the line progression. You will see the picture of the embryo in my uterus with the flash of life, and then I'll give you a better picture of the embryos. They will all be happening somewhere at the top or bottom of the screen, but I'll have him do that for me. I'll see if he can edit this video. So anyway, that happened, and then yesterday was 9 days post 5-day transfer, and I am pleased to announce that I am pregnant. Yes, first beta was 107. Tomorrow will be the second beta. I am anticipating that it will double and that it will rise appropriately. And then on Tuesday, I am supposed to see the RE who will take care of me until I am transitioned to my friend who's going to be my OBGYN, because if anybody's, I have to have a C-section at 30 weeks because of the myomectomy. So if anybody is cutting me open, it's a good friend of mine. So I'm just so pleased that she gets to be my OB, and she'll help me get through this, and she'll help me remain calm as she slices my kid out of me. That's what friends are for, right? So anyway, tomorrow will be 11 days past 5-day transfer, and I will know what my second beta is. My progesterone was 47. So that lining should be nice and fluffy. So I emailed my surgeon and let him know how grateful I was that he removed my fibroids. And he sent me back a message saying that he was so happy for me. My persistence in trying to become a mother is an inspiration, and he's just so happy for me, and he's praying for a easy pregnancy. And actually, I sent him a message. His nurse practitioner also messaged me back to tell me how happy they were for me, because I was using a different clinic than my local. You guys know of my previous issues with Cleveland Clinic, but my surgeon, who was my old RE, he did all of my monitoring for me. I mean, he did my surgery for me. He was just a gracious man. And he really doesn't know how much he impacted me, because as you all know, the director of the program told me I didn't have a chance, you need to give it up, basically. And he felt like, one of his most inspirational things he said to me is, if we could get 1 or 2 eggs, we're in the game. The second thing he said to me is that why I felt like I might have a healthy egg or 2 in there is that although you have a low AMH, I'm not necessarily convinced that you have poor egg quality. The volume, the number of eggs, that might be low, but he was not convinced that I had poor egg quality. The third thing he said to me after surgery, when I went for my 2-week follow-up, that I held on to, is that your uterus actually looked really well vascularized. It looked beautiful. There's no signs of endometriosis, no scarring. So there is absolutely no reason why you can't carry a pregnancy to term. So when he said those things to me, I just became inspired, and he doesn't know how much he helped me keep up the fight, because it felt like he was fighting for me even against his boss's advice, if that makes sense. So with that being said, ta-da! So we have this week, baby gay, 4 weeks, baby is the size of a poppy seed, craving, nothing yet. Estimated due date based on IVF is 5/22/19. However, I will have to have a cesarean at 37 weeks. So it's looking like around the 1st of May, I will be having our child. So there we go. All right. So there's that. And then, so what worked for me this time? What was different? So the protocol I used was letrozole 10 milligrams on cycle day 3 through 7. And from cycle day 3 on, I was on Gonal F 175 IUs daily. I also used Omnitrope 26 units a day, which is human growth hormone. I triggered with 10,000 units of HCG. I used Cetratide, about 6 doses, to prevent early ovulation. And then I decreased my cardio, my carbohydrate intake this cycle. So what did I do after transfer? So the day of transfer, I got an infusion of intralipids because in the past my natural killer cells had been slightly elevated. I took Neupogen 10 units a day to help kind of modulate my immune system and not reject the embryos. Baby aspirin, a prenatal vitamin D 3,000 units, estrase. Now, don't try this at home, but I increased my estrase on my own. And the reason is typically in the past, I looked through all my records after my transfer, and about 5 days after my transfers, my estrogen tends to tank. So I decided that I would take, instead of 2 tablets a day, I decided to take 4. And that was a wise decision because this time my estrogen did not tank at that 4-day lab check. It was still above 200, which is needed to sustain a healthy pregnancy. So I am using Crenone, which is progesterone, 2 times a day vaginally. I am taking 2 milliliters of progesterone in oil instead of 1. And again, the reason is because in the past, my progesterone levels were never high enough at the time of transfer, which is why I decided I would take the risk and grow the embryos out to day 5, because I knew that I needed more progesterone. I needed more exposure in my endometrium to progesterone to get my embryos to stick. Now, don't try this at home. Don't tweak your protocols. But I had gone through enough failures that at this point, I might as well try something different. So I am also taking prednisone 5 milligrams twice a day. And then I was on Prograf. However, that ended with positive beta on yesterday. So that is what I did. I am shooketh, shocked, amazed, and feeling blessed. I've been praising God, worshiping him, because the thing of it is ladies, I had to come to the end of myself on this topic. And I know it's going to sound extra spiritual, and I'm not trying to minimize any of our struggles, but I do feel like I needed to come to the end of myself and say, listen, I've tried everything. I've gone to the best fertility program in my area. I've taken all these meds. And I came to the end of myself and decided that if God does not will this to be, if he does not do this for me, I cannot get this done. So with that being said, I put complete trust and confidence in him. I put my faith in him, decided that faith without works is dead, and faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I had to trust and believe that God was going to come through for me on this, and that this was my time. The other thing that I held on to that would play in my head, I would just hear it randomly, is that your infertility has an expiration date. So I feel like that was God letting me know in due season, you're going to reap if you faint not. I remembered the story of Hannah and how she prayed and sought the Lord, and he blessed her with a child, and different women in the Bible who needed God to intervene. I was inspired by other women on YouTube who had been in the fight, like Nicole had been trying for so long, and then God blessed her and she has her beautiful baby girl now. There are just so many different people who I looked at their struggle, their testimony, and the fight that they were willing, LaQuisha and the twin boys, different people with different reasons that they ended up on this journey, but they were willing to put in the work that it took to get their baby. So I was not willing to surrender so easily. So on my last try with my eggs, God has come through. I am 4 weeks and 1 day pregnant. So this is very early. I will see the doctor next Friday for my first ultrasound to ensure that this is an intrauterine pregnancy. And I have absolutely no doubt that that's what it's going to be. And then I am looking forward to hear our child's heartbeat. And I am looking forward to God being with me for the next 33 weeks as our child grows and develops. And then I will be in the operating room. So I am believing God. I'm not accepting any negative vibes, any thoughts. Now, of course, we all have to deal in reality, but I'm not claiming anything. I'm rejecting any assertions related to my pregnancy. I'm keeping up with my positive affirmations, and I'm seeking the Lord that He will guide me and direct me, and this will be a healthy, non-complicated pregnancy. And one final thought, my supervisor over here, my husband, he's real serious about this thing. Let me tell you, I was standing the first day we found out, got positive beta. I said, I should make some ramen noodles. He was like, you're not eating those. Didn't crack a smile, straight face. Okay, buddy, guess I'll be eating kale. All right then. Well, ladies, I just wanted to let you all know that after 3 years of trying to become a mother, God is blessed and I have a positive beta. And I just want to show you one more thing we got. And it is a frame that's going to be for our first ultrasound. And it says, we love you already. So the moral of the story is, I've been in a long struggle for 3 years. My battle is not completely over, but I do feel like I've jumped over a major hurdle. I just want to encourage everyone to keep in the fight, and God will come through. I'll see you in my next video after my ultrasound.